Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining the CPro Land webinar on the new BattleLine and Barracuda. If you have any questions or comments during the webinar, please use the Q&A section and we'll try to get every question answered on the webinar. If for some reason we run out of time and we don't get your question answered live, we will certainly contact you afterwards and send you an email and get your questions answered. We want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to ask anything that they need to find out or learn some new information. So I'm going to turn this over to Dr. JC Chong with our R&D department. And JC, you can take it away.
Thank you, Dennis. Good afternoon, everybody. Pretty exciting day. I am happy to talk about two new products that CPO Land is introducing to the ornamental market. One of them is the Barracuda insecticide and miticide, and the other one is BattleLine fungicide. I like to start with the Barracuda insecticide and miticide. Well, I mean, a little bit of a personal preference since I'm an entomologist by training. So always more exciting to talk about insects and mites, I guess. Well, next, please.
Still fighting mites with multiple products and complicated tank mixes? Take a bite out of the problem with Barracuda, a new dual-active premix miticide and insecticide from CPro Land. Two proven actives in one highly concentrated SC formulation, built for reliable control and excellent crop safety. No guesswork, no hand mixing, no wondering if your tank mix will hold up. Barracuda attacks mites at all life stages and controls key ornamental pests, including thrips, aphids, whiteflies, and leaf miners. Translaminar movement helps Barracuda stalk pests deep inside dense ornamental canopies, where sprays often miss. Fast knockdown plus long residual control help stop flare-ups before they spread. Dual modes of action help growers stay aggressive on pests while supporting resistance management. Less mixing, less hassle, fewer products to manage. Just follow the program, follow the rotations, and grow cleaner, healthier, higher value crops. Barracuda. One bite, all mites.
All right. I hope everybody enjoyed a little short video. And, I guess I don't really need to talk too much because the video kind of give you a pretty good overview of what Barracuda is. Well, they pay me to be here, so I guess I need to keep going. So anyway, let's talk about Barracuda. Insecticide, miticide. Now, our slogan for it is one bite, all mites. I'll explain why we come up with that, but I do want everybody to understand that this is not just a miticide. This is also a very good, effective insecticide for some of the major pests that we have. Next, please. So this is some of the survey from a lot of some of the previous some from Greenhouse Management magazine, surveying growers as far as what kind of pests are problematic to them. And unexpected is not unexpected that thrips, aphid, whiteflies, and mites always come up to the top four, top five every year. And Barracuda is a product for all these major pests that you are dealing with. So you can use Barracuda to control mites, but also aphid, thrips, whiteflies, and leaf miners. And when when the survey respondents are asked, what is the biggest problem really when they come to pest management, 26% of them actually identify not having enough people to do all the pest management work is the biggest concern. And what I would say is Barracuda can really be one tool that help you simplify that because in this one bottle, you are getting two active ingredients, abamectin and bifenazate, to help you control your pests, control your mites, control your insects without having you have to take multiple jugs from the shelf and mix them together. So help you skip that tank mixing step. and also make it a very more a lot easier to handle for sure. Next. When asked about what kind of mites people are dealing with, people come up with all kinds of stuff, two-spotted spider mite, obviously, but also broad mites and Lewis mite and cyclone mites and bolt mites and all that. And Barracuda is a broad spectrum miticide. It can be used to control all the mite species and also all the life stages of mites. And it can be used to control mites on just about any plant species. So there's no, I talk about crop safety in a little bit, but what we're seeing is that we expect Barracuda not to have a whole lot of crop safety concern at all. So next, please. So let's go through a little bit of details about what Barracuda is. Barracuda, again, like I say, is a broad spectrum miticide, and you can use it to control spider mites. Just about any species of spider mite. Doesn't matter it's two-spotted spider mite, or spruce spider mite, or southern red mites, or Lewis mite on poinsettia. Doesn't really matter. You can use it to control all your spider mites. It can also be used to control broad mites, cyclone mites, aerial mites, clover mites as well, and bud mites as well. And the application rate is very, very low at 3 to 4 fluid ounces per 100 gallon. It is a very effective miticide for you to control anything. And in this case, it is a product that allows you not have to really guess or identify what mite species that you're dealing with. If you know that you're having a mite issue, mite infestation, you can just grab Barracuda from the shelf and it will work for you. So Barracuda is very effective and very simplify your pest management program that way. No guessing. If you got mites, Barracuda is one that you need to use. Next. And again, I mentioned that Barracuda can also be used to control a lot of insect pests. You can use it to control leaf miners, boxwood leaf miner and serpentine leaf miners, as well as aphids, thrips, and whiteflies. The application rate for insects is a little bit higher than mites at 6 fluid ounce per 100 gallon. Next. So the second features that is really make Barracuda stands out is that it has a synergistic mode of action. Next. What I mean by synergistic mode of action is that, we have two active ingredients, abamectin and bifenazate. In this product, you get two IRAC or mode of action together. Next, please. And, so it has two active ingredients. Now, abamectin, we already have that for quite a few years. It's in the product Minx and Avid. It's in IRAC 6. Bifenazate, a lot of folks are using fluoromide as well. And Barracuda is a combination of abamectin and bifenazate. And this is the only product in the market with this kind of combination at all. And one other thing I need to point out is that Barracuda has 2.2% abamectin, and that is more than what Avid and Minx has in their bottle. And Barracuda also has 43.2% bifenazate, which is more than what fluoromide will give you, and it's the same as Engulf will give you. So Barracuda really is a product that gives you one of the highest concentration of abamectin and bifenazate. Next. And because of that high concentration, it means that you don't have to use high application rate at all. For example, let's compare the Barracuda to abamectin to Avid. The Barracuda, my application rate is 3 to 4 fluid ounce per 100 gallon, but for Avid, it's 4 fluid ounce per 100 gallon. And when it comes to fluoromide, it's 4 to 8 fluid ounce per 100 gallon. And for insect control, Barracuda is used as 6 fluid ounce. And for Avid, you have to use 8 fluid ounce to get the same control. And bifenazate, it doesn't control insects at all. But, when you think about all that, it's a lot of number. And what does it really mean, though? What it means is that Barracuda actually, even though the application rate is lower than other products, it actually gives you more active ingredient per 100 gallon or per liter. At 3 fluid ounce, Barracuda would deliver 50% more biphenazate than fluoramide at 4 fluid ounce. At 4 fluid ounce, which is a high rate for mites, Barracuda would deliver 33% more abamectin than Avid at 4 fluid ounce and 100% more biphenazate than fluoramide. And at 6 fluid ounce, Barracuda would deliver 200% more biphenazate than fluoramide and 50% more fluoramide at 4 fluid ounce. But if you and then 50% more biphenazate than fluoramide at 8 fluid ounce. So either way, as you compare it, Barracuda will give you at the label rate will give you more active ingredient than Avid or fluoramide. What it means is that you're going to get much greater control from Barracuda because of the higher concentration of active ingredient. Next.
Hey, JC,
Sure.
why couldn't somebody just mix Avid and Floramite together and get the same thing?
Yeah, that's a good question. So why can't you just mix it? Sure, you can mix Avid and you can mix Floramide together in the same tank, but that is not Barracuda. The first reason is that look at Barracuda, the rate of apermectin, it is 2.2%. In Avid, you're only going to get 2% out of that. And for biphenazate, it's 43.2% compared to 22.6% of fluoramide. So the concentration is going to be Barracuda really give you one of the highest concentration of active ingredient. And also, another thing would be formulation as well. So Barracuda is a SC formulation, and most of the apomectin product is actually EC formulation. So when you mix EC and SC together, like EC in Avid and SC in fluoramide, sometimes there's some funky stuff going on in that tank mix. So you probably want to really avoid that. So there are really two reasons why you don't want to just mix your own because first of all, you're not going to get the same active ingredient concentration. Second, you're probably not going to find SC formulation throughout for both the product to mix. And you might end up increasing some of your phytotoxicity risk as well down the road because you use an EC formulation. So good question. Um, all right, so let's move on. And another way that Barracuda, by mixing abamectin and biphenazate, can be synergistic is because of their PET spectrum. All right, so biphenazate only controls spider mite and spider mite only, nothing else. But if you can combine abamectin and biphenazate in Barracuda, now you can control both odonite species as well as some of the major insect species as well, because you have abamectin in the tank in the mix. Next. And also synergism come from the life stage. Abamectin is known to be stronger on adult in nymphs, but bifenazate can be used to control mites of all life stages. Excuse me. Now that you combine abamectin and bifenazate, in Barracuda, you can use Barracuda to control all the life stages, so give you a much broader life stage control. Next. And also mobility of the active ingredient. So bifenazate is only contact insecticide. So what it means is that it will kill the mite that it get in contact with and kill them, but it will not kill the mite on the underside of the leaves. Abamectin is both contact and translaminar. What translaminar means is that the active ingredient bifenazate, abamectin, I'm sorry, will penetrate the leaf tissue, go inside the leaf tissue, and then kill the mites on the underside of the leaves. So when you combine two together, you are making up the shortfall of bifenazate with abamectin, and now you created a product that is both contact and translaminar. And that way, like we say, just like a barracuda, where it's hiding in the reefs and come out and take out any little fish that you might find, it's the same thing. It's hiding in that leaf tissue. If the mites and thrips come along, feed on that leaves, and they will die. So the translaminar activity is pretty important in that sense. Next, please. The third major feature of Barracuda is that he has a very fast knockdown as well as very long residual control. Let me show you some trial data that we have next. So the first trial data I want to show you is the efficacy of Barracuda when it's applied at 6 fluid ounce, which is the insect rate, to control Western flower thrips. And in this trial, we compare it to Avid at 8 fluid ounce and our own Hachi Hachi at 21 fluid ounce. And what we're finding out is that the amount of damage on petunia flowers 3 weeks after the treatment on the Barracuda treated plant is much lower, much lower than the untreated plant. And it is also much lower than Avid. So you actually could protect your flowers a lot better when you use Barracuda than you use Avid. And Hachi Hachi, our other product, is always very effective. It's always a standalone standard product for thrips control. So it's still working very well in this case. But anyway, at the high rate of Avid, you're still not getting the same kind of control as you do with Barracuda at 6 fluid ounce. Next.
Hey, JC,
Yeah.
before we you move on, just a quick pause here. Just want to make sure everyone gets their questions answered. So if you do have a question for JC on Barracuda, and as we get into BattleLine fungicide, feel free to put those questions into the QA, and we'll get them answered throughout the webinar.
Okay. All right. We also ran a trial to look at the efficacy of Barracuda against melon aphid. And again, we apply Barracuda at 6 fluid ounce compared to Avid at 8 fluid ounce and Hachi Hachi at 21 fluid ounce. And in this particular case, the higher the bar is, that is the percent control, the higher the bar is, the better it is at controlling the aphids. So as you can see, both Barracuda and Hachi Hachi are very effective in controlling the aphid in the first week and also keep them away for 3 weeks. So it's pretty effective there. But if you look at Avid at 8 fluid ounce, is that the first week it seems to be pretty effective at about 82, 85% reduction in aphid population. But 3 weeks later, you already lost that efficacy at all. Compared to Barracuda at 6 fluid ounce, you are maintaining the efficacy up to 3 weeks after treatment. So it has a much longer, much better residual control of melon aphid than Avid it is. Next. And don't forget, obviously, Barracuda is a miticide as well. So we ran a trial to look at spider mite data. And again, in this case, the higher the bar is, the better it is at controlling spider mite. In this case, we run this trial on a New Guinea patient. We look at Barracuda at 3 fluid ounce and 4 fluid ounce, and those are the mite rates for Barracuda, compared to Avid at 4 fluid ounce and Floramite at 8 fluid ounce, and our own miticide Akari at 16 fluid ounce. What I'm trying to show you here is basically that if you apply Barracuda at 3 to 4 fluid ounce, you can achieve a pretty long residual control of spider mite on Barracuda and almost up to 100% control. Just like Akari, you can achieve 100% of control within 2 weeks. Same thing with Barracuda. You can get 100% control of the spider mite in 2 weeks. Compared to Avid at 4 fluid ounce, it started out very slow, and at the end of the 3 weeks, you still do not get complete control of the spider mite. Floramide in this particular case did not work particularly well. It's kind of low to begin with, and then the efficacy kind of stayed low throughout the trial. So anyway, this particular trial basically showing you that Barracuda at the label rate of 3-4 fluid ounce per 100 gallon is very effective, more effective than Avid or Floramide in controlling two-spotted spider mite, and it is on par with Akari when it comes to controlling spider mite as well. So there's a lot of numbers, a lot of bars and whatnot, but next please. A picture tells says 1,000 words. So this is a picture from the same trial that I showed you guys just a little bit earlier. New Guinea patient infested with two-spotted spider mite, spray with Barracuda is 3 fluid ounce or 4 fluid ounce. As you can see, the one that is not controlled at all at 3 weeks after treatment, 3 weeks after the start of the trial, the plant is looking really, really, really sad. But the plants that's treated with Barracuda as both either 3 or 4 fluid ounce is looking pretty darn good. Not seeing a whole lot of stipplings on there at all. Certainly not finding spider mite on that either. Next.
Hey, JC,
Yeah.
got another question. So you said the Barracuda will kill all life stages of spider mites. What about the other insects?
So that's a good question. So Barracuda, can it be used to control all life stages of the other insects? And the answer to that is for the most part it does. If the eggs and nymphs and adults are pretty exposed on the leaf surface, for example, white flies, when it's very exposed on the leaf surface, you can certainly control the eggs as well. But for some of the insects that have the leaves, have the eggs buried deep inside the plant tissue, for example, leaf miners or thrips, it cannot get to it and kill it. Now, that is not unique to Barracuda. No other insecticide can really kill the eggs of nymphs or eggs of thrips that are inside the plant tissue. It is if Barracuda is effective for all the life stages of the mites, but for insects, it will depend on where the eggs are. All right, so we have developed a rotation program for Barracuda. And for the mites, it is strong enough that I'm putting it on the first line of defense for your plants against the mites. Doesn't matter if it's spider mites or broad mites or irrefining mites. And then after that, you can follow up with other product, effective product, for example, Acari or Tetraten, Sultan, or Pylon, things like that. For thrips, my program will start with a Hachi Hachi, followed by Barracuda, and then Mainspring and Conserve. So we have these example rotation programs, and we'll be more than happy to help you build the rotation program that is uniquely yours, depending on what you have in your storage shed. So reach out to us, ask for help. We'll be more than happy to help. Next. All right, the last feature of Barracuda that I want to talk about is that Barracuda has excellent crop safety. The reason for that is because of formulation. Next. So looking at the bottom there, the formulation of Barracuda is SC formulation or suspend concentrate or water-based formulation. For bifenazide, like fluoramide, it's also SC formulation. But for abamectin, most of the product out there for abamectin is EC formulation. For some other product, it could be micro and encapsulated. What it means is that basically is that the active ingredients are still enveloped in some kind of oil or soap particle and suspended in water. So it's not escaping the oil based formulation anyway. So as you know, the EC formulation is going to be have a much higher risk of phytotoxicity, especially when it is hot and on sensitive plant species. So what Barracuda does, being an SC formulation, it has a much lower risk for phytotoxicity in this case. So much greater crop safety, and everybody will be a bit happier when compared to using the EC formulation, such as Avid. Next. All right, some quick facts about Barracuda. I mentioned a lot of it in previously, but I do want to point out a few other things. The REI for Barracuda is 21 hours, and the PPE for applicators is includes long sleeve shirt, long pants, shoes and socks, and then chemical resistant gloves. And the mixer and loader need to wear apron, but the applicator does not. So that's one little distinction there. What other things I want to talk about? You can use it for indoor and outdoor sites, greenhouse, nursery, shade house, your conifers plantation, your Christmas tree farms, as well as your landscape, both indoor and outdoor. I mentioned earlier that it can be used for all mite species, as well as aphids, thrips, whiteflies, and leaf miners as well. Next.
Hey, JC, got a question for you that came
Yep.
through. Does the pH of the water matter for mixing Barracuda?
So that's a good question. Does pH of the water matters? In this case, not that much. So as long as you don't go below 5 and do not go above 8 or 9, you're probably fine. Within that 5.5 to 7.5 range, you are fine. Just like most of the other insecticide, within that range will be fine. Just as long as you don't get to be too alkaline or too acid, you'll be okay.
Thanks, JC.
All right.
And
Here,
JC,
yeah.
one more that came through. Can you use this Barracuda in a BCA program for with biological controls?
All right, that's a good question. So let's get to the last point of this tip for success. So um, for biological control program, if you already have predatory mites or insects on your crops, I would not recommend using Barracuda on that, simply because apomactin within Barracuda is not comparable with biological control agents with direct contact. But it doesn't mean that you cannot use Barracuda at all. What it does, what you need to do is just kind of have a little bit of careful planning. What I mean by that is, let's just talk about an example. For example, if you use a predatory mite to control your spider mite, but at some point in the summer, the spider mite just got out of control. The predatory mite, for some reason, just cannot control them. What I would do is actually come in with Barracuda, spray your crop. Sure, it will kill your predatory mite. Yeah, but it also kill your spider mite. So you basically use that as a way to reduce your pest population way down, and then a week later, you can reintroduce your predatory mites. That way, you can sort of you're resetting the clock in some way, pushing the pest population down, reintroduce your predatory mite so that the predatory might have a chance of being successful instead of just being overrun all the time. So that would be one way for you to actually use Barracuda in conjunction with biological control.
And so with that, with a such a long residual, because we saw that it has a 3 week residual on still suppressing pest mites, how is it possible to re-release your predatory mites in 1 week and not harm those?
Well, oftentimes the predatory mites are much tougher than the two-spotted spider mite. And do remember that the ivermectin in this case is pretty effective for two-spotted spider mite to begin with. So even a low dose can be pretty effective in reducing the two-spotted spider mite. And you know, sure, when the residue is really fresh within a week, you probably will kill some of the predatory mite. But after a week, where the residue become low enough that the predatory mite can actually reestablishing themselves. So being tougher, the predatory mite can actually stand those residue down the road. All right. Some of the tips for success I want to mention. The first thing is just like all the other insecticide, miticide, you want to use Barracuda as soon as you find a pest infestation. Once you get the population huge, you can still use Barracuda to reduce them, but it will take a lot more effort to do it. Second thing is, even though Barracuda is translaminar, I would still recommend that everybody achieve thorough coverage for your foliage. And that is particularly important when it comes to dealing with, mites and aphids and whiteflies and thrips, where they often hide on the underside of the leaves. So one way to do that is to add a surfactant to your tank mix. You can use horticultural oil or some kind of oil-based surfactants, or you can use organosilicone surfactant. Doesn't matter. You can use added surfactant will improve your efficacy because it will improve your sticking and also coverage. And the second way to improve your coverage would be to use a higher spray volume as well, especially for plants that are bigger and have a denser canopy. For typical bedding plants, 100 gallon per acre probably would do the job. But for big plants, you probably want to go up to 200 or even 300 gallon per acre. Okay, so just so that you can get a good coverage. Another point of success is rotate your mode of action. You want to develop a rotation program. Mites and thrips are notorious for their ability to develop pesticide resistance. So you always want to rotate your mode of action. and making sure that there's no resistance developing in the population. Okay, and we mentioned biological control earlier, so it can be combined with Barracuda. It just depending on the timing for sure. Next. All right. Any questions about Barracuda at this point?
No additional ones came in, JC.
Okay. Well, you guys can always ask more questions at the end of the seminar if you want to. Anytime along the seminar, please put in the questions in the Q&A section. So let's move on to the BattleLine fungicide next.
CPRO, copy that. We got eyes on the target.
Disease pressure doesn't wait. Once it breaks through the canopy, you're already behind. Draw the line with BattleLine, a new fungicide from CPRO Land, built to defend ornamental crops from the inside out. BattleLine moves through plant tissue to stop disease before it spreads, from roots to canopy. BattleLine helps growers defend crops where disease starts and where it spreads. Defends against root rots, botrytis, mildew, blight, and other tough ornamental diseases. BattleLine helps growers stay ahead of pressure before outbreaks take hold. BattleLine fits the way growers work. From foliar sprays to drenches and chemigation, flexible application methods make it easier to protect crops across production systems. And with excellent ornamental plant safety and minimal unwanted growth regulation effects, growers can stay aggressive on disease without compromising crop quality. Disease pressure never stops. Neither should your defense.
You guys are lucky. You got 2 videos. They use up all our marketing money. So next time we just do something simpler. The next time we introduce a new product. But anyway, let's talk about BattleLine. BattleLine is our fungicide. It is fungicide. The active ingredient is triflumarzole. Triflumarzole is a DMI or FRAC3 fungicide that has both contact and systemic activities. Next. So what do I mean by contact? Contact is basically, when you spray the fungicide on top of a plant tissue, it will kill the spores on top of the plant, or it will leave a layer of residue on top of the plant. So when the spores trying to germinate, it could not germinate from that. So it gives you that preventive protection for any kind of disease infection. Systemic insect fungicide for it, on the other hand, is that they will actually go inside the plant tissue. It will be absorbed by the root or absorbed by the leaves and sent to the rest of the canopy. So you actually sort of have a store of active ingredient inside the plant tissue. And not only does that protect infection, it also will stop the growth of hyphae inside the plant tissue itself. So it actually gives you a curative effect. So triflumarzole or BattleLine is both a contact and systemic fungicide that will give you both protection and early curative effect. So very effective in this case. Next. And it is a broad spectrum fungicide for a lot of fungal diseases, botrytis, leaf spots, blights, powdery mildew, and so on. Next. Let's look at the rate for all these diseases. For foliar disease, you can use it to control aerial blight, botrytis, any leaf spot diseases, myroticum, petal rot, powdery mildew, scabs, and also rust. The application rate is anywhere from 2 to 8 fluid ounce. I would recommend that you use a low application rate for preventive control where you don't have disease yet, but you just want to buy an insurance to make sure that the disease don't break out. You can use a low rate. But if you're already seeing a little bit of disease or the condition is right for disease outbreak, you want to use a high label rate to protect your plants from the disease infecting and also spreading as well. And when it comes to foliar applications or spray, you can reapply every 14 days. But do remember that there's a limit of 4 application per crop per year. All right. BattleLine can also be used to control a lot of root diseases and canker as well. So you can use it to control black root rot. For those that grow pansies, black root rot is the bane of existence. It's always happened every year. So this is a very, very effective product for black root rot. And it is also for controlling cylindrocladium root rots or petal rots or canker and things like that. Fusarium rot for those of you that are growing moms right now, watch out for fusarium rot. When you do have fusarium, BattleLine would be a very good options for that. And Rhizoctonia root rot, BattleLine is also very effective for that. The application rate for BattleLine is anywhere from 2 to 8 16 fluid ounce, depending your application method. For the drench, it's typically 2 to 8 or 2 to 8 fluid ounce, somewhere in between. And for cutting soak, you can use at 12 to 16 fluid ounce. And when it comes to applying by drench or cutting soak or chemigation, you want to make the reapplication every 2 to 4 weeks. For Fusarium, weekly application may be needed simply because this is such a tough disease to control. Next. BattleLine is also registered to control powdery mildew on greenhouse-grown tomato crops and cucumber crops, as well as transplants. So we know a lot of us ornamental growers are really going into producing vegetable cuttings or vegetable seedlings for transplant in the spring. So BattleLine is a good options for that to control your powdery mildew. Uh, you want to do that at the first sign of disease. The application rate for powdery mildew for greenhouse vegetables is 2 to 4 fluid ounce per 100 gallon. Next. So I mentioned earlier that the third feature of BattleLine is basically that you can apply it with just about any application method that you want to use. You can use foliar spray, you can do soil drench, you can do a cutting soak, and you can do chemigation. So it's very flexible. And the last feature of BattleLine is that it has a pretty long residual activity as well. Next. So let me show you some of the chart data that we have available. This is one study on botrytis. And one thing I want to mention about this study is that this is a curative control of botrytis, meaning that when BattleLine is applied, the botrytis is already sets in, it's already in the crop. So what you're seeing here is that the trial was done in 2 years, year one, year two, it was repeated in 2 years. And the application rate for botrytis in this trial is 3.5 fluid ounce and for the 4.3 fluid ounce. And as you can see, within 7 days, even at the low rate of 3.5 fluid ounce, you're already getting 75% reduction of your botrytis incidence. So that's just within a week of applications. So it has a very strong early curative control. If you go up the rate to 4.3 fluid ounce, you actually increase your efficacy as well. So that up to 8.1 percent, 81%. So it will help you with early curative control of botrytis. Next. This is one study done on greenhouse cucumber against powdery mildew. As you can see here in the inoculative control sections, the disease incidence is really, really high. But for the plants that were treated with BattleLine at 8 fluid ounce, there's essentially no powdery mildew at all. Perfectly clean. Okay. This is a weekly application for about 5 weeks or so. And so they basically show you that BattleLine is super effective for powdery mildew. Next. Fusarium, probably one of the most difficult disease out there simply because there's not a whole lot of options. It turns out BattleLine is a great option for Fusarium. In this case, it is looking at efficacy of BattleLine for Fusarium on oak leaf hydrangea for both the root rot and the crown rot. So two different parts of it. As you can see, in the inoculated control, after 3 applications, you still have a lot of fusarium happening there. But if you apply Barracuda at 8 fluid ounce, you can reduce it to less than 10% infection. And that is much better than Empress Intrinsic at 3 fluid ounce. So BattleLine is a very effective product for fusarium control. Next. What about rhizoctonia? In this case, rhizoctonia on root rot on red maple. Again, BattleLine at 8 fluid ounce is very effective after 2 application. It can prevent a lot of rhizoctonia in red maple. In the inoculated control, you have more than 60% of infection, but in BattleLine, you have just a little bit over 20%. So it reduced that disease incidence significantly. Next. Black root rot on pansy, like I said, black root rot is almost happened on pansies. In this particular trial, on the left-hand side, you have the inoculated control. As you can see, the incidence of black root rot basically increased over time from 23 days after treatment to 30 days after treatment to 37 days after treatment. It just keep going up. But on the plants that were treated with Barracuda, I'm sorry, with BattleLine at 2.4 fluid ounce, you maintain that you can kind of keep the black root rot at bay at less than 10% of your plant having issues. So very effective in preventing losses to black root rot. Next. So hopefully I show you guys enough data to sort of convince you that Barracuda indeed is a very effective product. And in fact, looking at all the data that we have, I'm pretty confident in the efficacy of the of BattleLine. And therefore, in all these rotation programs, doesn't matter if it's botrytis or black root rot or fusarium, I put BattleLine as the first line of defense for your crop. And then after that, you can follow it up with some other product. For example, Decree for botrytis, or Pageant for rhizoctonia, or Camelot O for leaf spot, or Pipron for powdery mildew. So again, we can help you build those rotation program pretty easily.
Hey, JC,
Yep.
so with so many Frac 3 fungicides on the market, what makes BattleLine different, if any?
Yep. That is a very good question. Now, there's a lot of Frac 3 fungicide. Let me answer that question next. All right, so remember that BattleLine or trifluomazole is a DMI or Frac 3 fungicide, and it is the Frac 3 fungicide as a group has always been known as having growth regulating effect. And this is one excerpt from Chase Digest from quite a few years ago. Basically, saying that Frac 3 or DMI fungicide or steroid inhibitors have noticeable PGR effect. Next. And on the BattleLine label, we do have one restriction about not using BattleLine on bedding plant plugs not using more than 2 fluid ounce per 100 gallon for bedding plant plugs. And do not use it on impatient plugs. That's the only restriction about BattleLine that we have. Now, next. Let's go back to the Frac 3 fungicide. BattleLine or trifluomazole, which is in that green line over there on the graph, is in the imidazole chemical class. And all the other fungicides, doesn't matter is Pastiva, Aveo, or Banner Max, or Pillar, or Torque, or Tourney, all of those is in the triazole chemical class. What else do we have in triazole? Triazoles, we have plenty of commercial PGR, the one that is used really to control plant growth. For example, our own ARAS and top floor, as well as Barracuda and uniconazole. So what this means to me is that triazole has a much stronger growth regulating effect than imidazole. And BattleLine, being in the imidazole class, will have a lower risk of a plant growth regulating effect. And that would be my hypothesis. And of course, I want to make sure that I have data to stand on whenever I make a statement. So next. So I actually conduct a study at our research campus in North Carolina, looking at whether BattleLine will actually regulate or stunt the growth of some of the most commonly grown bedding plant species: begonia, Cali, Coleus impatient, New Guinea impatient, pansy, petunia, sun patient, snapdragon, vinca, zinnia, and zonal geranium. So I make application of BattleLine both as a plug dip and also spray at 2, 4, and 8 fluid ounce per 100 gallon to these bedding plan. I compare that to Banner Max, also spray or plant drop, but plug dip at 5, 8, and 12 fluid ounce. So basically, what I do is I got these bedding plant plugs. I dip them in the solution, then transplant them, or I transplant them, then spray on top of them using BattleLine or Max at different application rate. So what did I find out? Next, a very interesting observation, and for the sake of transparency, I want to make sure that what kind of result we got, we show it as it is, which is that we actually see phytotoxicity on Calibragoa, this particular variety. So what we see is that it doesn't matter if it's BattleLine or Bannermax, both product actually cause corrosis on the on the Cali plugs within a week of the application. But that corrosis went away over time, and it doesn't really impact the growth and flower production of Calibragoa. So it looks scary at first, but it sort of just peter out later on. Next. But we did see pretty strong growth regulating effect from Benamax. So for example, on impatient, what we're seeing is that it is reducing the growth of impatient a little bit. And most noticeably, it really reduced the flowering on that impatient. So in this picture, what you are seeing is that the untreated plant is on the left-hand side, followed by BattleLine at 2, 4, and 8 fluid ounce, and then Banamax at 5, 8, and 12 fluid ounce. As you can see, Banamax impatient, they were treated with Banamax at 5, 8, and 12 fluid ounce. They look a little bit shorter, and most importantly, there are fewer flowers than the untreated control and the BattleLine. So Battlemax could reduce flowering on impatient, but Battleline does not. Next. Battleline also has no growth regulating effect on pansies. And what we're seeing with Bannermax, on the other hand, is that at 5, 8, and 12 fluid ounce plug dip, it really stunted the growth of the pansies. On this particular picture, you can see pretty clearly on the far right-hand side, the Bannermax 5, 8, and 12. The pansies are really stunted and not producing flowers at all. Battleline, no problem. Next. Battleline also have no growth regulating effect on sun patient, but Bannermax did. Bannermax at 5, not too bad. But Bannermax at 8 and 12, it really stunted the sun patient. And the sun patient treated with Bannermax at 12 never really grow out of that stunting at all, which is pretty dramatic. Battleline, not an issue on sun patient either. Next. Battleline has no growth regulative effect on Vinca. But Bannermax will stunt the growth of Vinca to some degree. So again, all of these example basically is showing you that for some of the plant species, pansies, sun patients, vinca, impatient, for example, BattleLine, even though Bannermax will have some stunting effect, BattleLine does not. So I say BattleLine is a very different FRAC3 fungicide than the others. The other ones, you probably need to worry about growth regulating effect, but for BattleLine, the risk is probably going to be quite minimal. Next. But again, whenever we come to crop safety, my message is always, every time you use a new product on a new crop, always test for crop safety. You want to test and test and test some more just to make sure that nothing is going wrong. Now, I have tested a lot of different bedding plant species, but I cannot cover all the plant species. So you want to make sure that you do some testing on your own there. Next. So here are some of the quick facts about BattleLine. It is 42.14% trifluomazole. The REI is 12 hours. It can be used for ornamental plants as well as greenhouse, cucumbers, and tomatoes. If you use it for greenhouse cucumbers and tomato, the pre-harvest interval is 0 day, meaning that you can spray and harvest on the same day. The PPE is long sleeve shirt, long pants, shoes and socks, and chemical resistant gloves. What else I want to talk about? You can use it on greenhouse, shade house, nursery, Christmas tree, conifers plantation, as well as interior scape. Um, Again, it can be used to tank mix with just about any other fungicide. But again, I would recommend that every time you mix something together, do a jar test before you mix the entire tank, just to make sure that they are compatible physically. Next, here are some of my tips for using BattleLine successfully. Similar to Barracuda, you want to start making the application as soon as you see disease infection, just so that you can get the most out of the applications. And you want to make sure that you hit every zone. What I mean by that is you want to hit the foliage, you want to hit the root. You just kind of give yourself an all-rounded protection for your crop. And rotate and build a program that works for you. And you want to rotate it with a different mode of action just to make sure that the disease doesn't develop any sort of resistance at all. Just to reiterate, if you spray, you can make reapplication every 2 weeks. And if you drench or chem soak or chemigation, you make the reapplication application every 2 to 4 weeks. Okay, next. All right, so BattleLine and Barracuda, I'm happy to inform y'all that it has been registered in a lot of states already. Um, we have basically gotten a lot of state registration approved, including from California. We are waiting on Colorado, New Mexico, and Hawaii. We will not register Barracuda in Alaska and Wyoming, and we will not register BattleLine in Alaska, Wyoming, Minnesota, and Maine. So those are just some of the information is there. So we're still waiting for 3 states to return state registration, but we are almost done with all the registration process. Next.
And it's really, JC, just a note, really positive to be able to have, California is always we don't always have the opportunity to get things registered in California. So having 2 additional products within California is great as well. So great to see
Indeed,
a very green map.
indeed, this is a very green map, and we for those of you that have watched insecticide or fungicide introduction for a long time, you always know that New York and California will be the last one to get registered because the process is a lot more strenuous. But in this case, we're happy to have California and New York registered from the get-go, so we can have the product available immediately. Well, actually,
When will it be both of these be available for the ornamental market?
JC, I can take that one. Yeah, we're happy to be able to have both Barracuda and BattleLine available on October 1st. So just a couple months away. But don't let that hesitate you from talking with your distribution as well. They will be able to have access to it on October 1st as well. But be asking about Barracuda and BattleLine, and you can have it October 1st.
okay. Well, earlier I mentioned that just reach out to us for any questions that you have. Doesn't matter whether it's Barracuda or BattleLine or some other product, whether it's our product or a competitor's product. Let us help you build an effective pest management program. And on this list, it's showing you some of our regional folks that are serving in your areas. So reach out to us. Let us know how we can help you. All right. Lastly, if you want to find more information about Barracuda and BattleLine, such as trial data or labels, or if you want to see my pretty face, you can always go to this website. You can either scan this QR code and get to that, or you can go to the website and put in barracudaInsecticide.com or battlelinefungicide.com. Very easy to remember. barracudaInsecticide.com or battlelinefungicide.com. So on those websites, like I said, you'll find a lot of information. If you want to watch those videos again, absolutely, it's right on there.
JC, just to give anyone else the opportunity to ask any questions they have about Barracuda and BattleLine, please feel free to put those in the Q&A, but also don't hesitate to just reach out to your technical specialist or anyone on this call, and we'll be happy to walk you through anything that you might have.
Okay.
Well, not seeing any additional questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks again for taking the time. I know everyone has busy schedules, but thanks for spending an hour with us. As always, thanks for the support of C Pro, and reach out on Barracuda and BattleLine, and have a good rest of the week.